Hi, and welcome to another episode of Hot Takes with me, the Silver Fox. I'm sorry I'm laughing at this one because it is just stunning. You couldn't make it up, as they say. It's been, 2 days since the end of the SNP conference when Humza Yousaf stood at the pinnacle of his career, the party leader at his party conference, and he's telling all 14 people in the audience, prepare for independence. This time we've got it right. We have a plan that will work. It will not fail. It is the best plan ever. If we get a majority of seats, we can go independent. And everyone in the room all stood there and whooped and cheered and clapped like performing seals. And then the party was over and they picked up their bags and their knitting and they went on that long journey home. And then sat down, made a cup of tea and thought about what he said and realised it's a load of old rubbish, isn't it? And so finally has he. Humza Yousaf has finally realised that this idea about the most seats or whatever he kept coming up with was a load of old tosh and it won't work. We told him that day one. You don't need to be Albert Einstein to get this. Anyone with the IQ high enough to be able to lace up their own boots would have seen it wasn't going to work. But it's just taken Humza Yousaf about 3-4 days to finally get it through his head that it isn't going to work. Let's have a look at this piece to see why Mr. Lightning, Mr. Quicksilver, Mr. Brainiac has finally realised what everyone realised a long time ago. Here goes. So, 2 days in, 2 days from the end of the conference, Humza Yousaf already backtracking on the de facto indie ref plan. As he admits, Skexit negotiations are unlikely. He could win every seat. It's not a mandate for an independence referendum. We know this. We've told him. Everybody said to him, Humza, you're a moron. Unfortunately, he's too much of a moron to listen. Anyway, days after his party voted for an independence strategy, the SNP leader is already sharing his doubts that the UK government will engage in negotiations. Wow, stunning, gets there in the end. It's only taken him 4 days. Thursday last week, he was going, we're going to do this. So actually, it's 5 days, isn't it? Thursday. What day is it today? It's a week. It's a week. It's taken him a week. A whole week. My God. The man is... I can't even think down to his level. How does he function as a human being that stupid? Anyway, Humza Yousaf has conceded that the Skexit negotiations with the UK government are unlikely under the SNP's independence plan for a general election because it's not legitimate. You can't sit there and go, oh, if we do this, then we'll do that. The government go, don't care. No, you won't. It's not a referendum. Bye. Don't call us, puts phone down. Anyway, only days ago, the SNP voted in favour of a ploy they think will convince Westminster to agree to a second referendum. They think that because they're stupid. But their party leader had undermined it for a second time. Honestly, when it comes to shooting yourself in the foot, Yousaf every time, isn't it? Mr. Yousaf has expressed his view that a sustained majority is the only route to Skexit. They've never had a majority, have they? And now says that the NAT-backed plan, or the Nat-a-Jack Toad is more like it. Anyway, the NAT-backed plan is all but pointless. Bada bing, go back, all my videos. What have I been saying for a week now? It's pointless. I've been using the word pointless because it's got no legal bearing under British law or international law. It's not a genuine referendum which requires an act of parliament. It's got no sustainability or mandate because it's working on seats, not popular vote, and the two are completely different things. So it doesn't even indicate whether the most people even want a referendum. Especially as figures show that the majority of SNP voters don't want independence. So it's a load of old tosh. And so, of course, you've got all these things, plus other things as well we've covered in many videos. But I've been saying it's pointless waste of time, effort and money. It will achieve nothing. And the UK government will just go, no, It's not there. We're not even going to talk about it. We're not entertaining the idea of talking about it. And it slowly got into that little stupid head of Humza Yousaf. Anyway, the de facto vote would be a success, according to the party, if a majority of seats are won. But that doesn't necessarily mean the majority of the electorate, as you know. However, Mr Yousaf told the BBC he doubts it will lead to any negotiations with the UK government. Well, of course it won't. On how he actually goes about breaking up the UK, he told the BBC that could be a referendum, which you won't get. That could be the transferring of powers to us so we can hold a referendum, which you won't get. Or it could be negotiation, which isn't going to happen. I know the latter one will be unlikely. There you go. So he's finally accepted what everyone else knows, that it is a pointless effort. Nothing's going to happen. You're not going to get independence. Doesn't matter what you do. The only way you can go forward and get independence is to have a referendum, and for that you have to wait, probably until around 2030 minimum. That'll be your one in a generation, right? Probably a bit later than that if the UK government is in the middle of a transition, between two parties or something. But you're going to be looking into the 2030s at minimum, and by then, of course, it will not necessarily be a winnable referendum. Most people don't want the effort of leaving the UK. Imagine all the trouble. Imagine all the changes of laws, all the change. You've got nothing in part, nothing there. And people look around. This is the thing. The other thing, people are looking around Scotland now. They're seeing how bad Scotland is under 17 years nearly of independent, of SNP rule, and that is with the safety net of Westminster. And they're going to say, how bad would it be if Westminster weren't there to pick up the slack? And it's only getting worse because the SNP are incompetent buffoons who couldn't run a whelk stall. Anyway, the SNP leader also told the broadcaster if the SNP wins the most Scottish seats, it would only allow them to negotiate how to give that democratic effect, telling them independence is behind every vote for the SNP, even though it isn't. He said it's line 1, page 1, he repeated. Mr Yousaf recently admitted, which goes to show that he doesn't give a shit about the NHS, education, transport, etc. It's all about independence. Everything else, doesn't matter. Independence. What are they going to do with independence? Oh, they don't know. They haven't got a clue because they can't run an NHS. They can't run the communication. They can't run an education system. Why on earth should they run a country? Anyway, Mr Yousaf recently admitted that things were not going very well for his party. That is the understatement of the year, isn't it? Confronted with criticism over his leadership and the independence strategy, he said, I'm not going to pretend to you that things are entirely rosy. Not entirely rosy. They're chaotic. They're destructive. It's a joy to watch. I mean, I'm having to buy popcorn by the lorry load. It's fantastic. Anyway, he added, they clearly aren't going well. He said, it's been 6 months of a very difficult time for my political party. I think the main problem, of course, is for those 6 months, he's been in charge. That's half of the problem, of course. But it may be a problem that is coming to an end soon, rumour has it. And he says, my focus, my laser-like focus, heaven set, he can't see the end of a bloody sentence, never mind his laser-like focus. Anyway, he said his laser-like focus is making sure, he says, we deliver on the priorities of the people. Oh, right, so you're going to give up on independence and actually sort out the NHS then, are you? Cost of living crisis, investing in public services and making sure we grow our economy. Well, you can't do any of them when you're constantly looking at independence, you tit. Anyway, he said independence links to every single one of those priorities. In your mind, but not in anyone else's. How about getting the economy first? How about doing the NHS? How about doing all these things you need to fix first? And then saying to people, look at the marvellous world we've built. Now, trust us. We can do this. Now trust us with independence. Not what you're doing, which is straight out of the National Socialist 1930s playbook. Destroy everything and point to a fictional utopia and say, if you give us it, we can build it. Because it doesn't work that way. And it's, oh, God almighty. I can't get over how stupid he is. It's taken him a week to realise what everyone else saw within seconds. But then we don't have the IQ of a banana. I'm rounding off and I'm coming up. I do think it is utterly astonishing that a man who is quite clearly that stupid, I mean, even within his own party, people must think he is right stupid. How has he risen so high? How has he got to the top when he can barely operate a shoe? The man is a moron. He's a failure. And yet there he is, First Minister of Scotland. And he keeps coming up with only the same old things. But it does at least show. It does at least show that he can learn. He's learnt that his bright idea is a load of old rubbish. He'll obviously have to go and have another bright idea. It'll be just as rubbish, of course, but it'll probably take him about 2 weeks to realise how rubbish it is. Because he's got nothing else. His little brain operates on a very low level. You know, it says what and how, and I don't understand. You know, that's about it. You know, that's about it. He's probably had to have someone tell him why it's a bad idea. I don't think he'll have cogitated internally and come to this. Someone will have got a piece of paper and a crayon and drawn it out for him. And while he's sitting there doing the dots afterwards, and he's like, and then all of a sudden, oh, now I get it. Yeah. Crikey. And he's in charge. Can we stop voting morons into power? Anyway, thank you very much for watching. And isn't it joyous that he's actually understood something? Wow. We live in interesting times. Till next time, stay safe, stay well, and let's hope that he can learn some more. Bye.